Hello everybody. This video is going to talk about a little bit about the retreat in February in Puerto Vallarta. This video is a little bit about silence and the universe within. We believe, or the ego identity believes, that it is the driving force of our awakening. But that is just not true. It is the death of us that is our awakening. We renunciate, we implode into love, into the presence of ourselves. Silence is such a profound experience of union with yourself. I've spoken about my own awakening. When I imploded into the presence of myself, my inner self, the defragmentation of my identity, of my ego, the unfolding of this process took 7 days. This was not just a simple moment or a simple day or a simple hour. Everyone's journey is completely different. It's as unique as your fingerprint. So my journey might not be your journey. Your journey might be very different. But we don't awaken because we're vibrating at a different degree. Because we become God. We become love. We give up our identity. It is not about controlling. It's about renunciation. It's about union. During the week of me learning to love in a way that I had never truly understood. The ego has its own interpretation of what love is. And you can ask many different people what they think is love is. But most love is based upon what we want and what we need or what we get out of it, instead of really understanding that there is a love that connects every plant and every tree and every leaf of grass and every leaf on a tree. We are connected to this intelligence, to this universal intelligence, and this intelligence is love. But we don't reach that unless we allow ourselves to really just become consciousness. And we can let go of control. The week of my love, I guess you could say, the week of awakening, even though this was a very huge unfolding and awakening to me about the infrastructure of what the ego is really capable of. We can sit in a moment, we can sit in this moment right now. But what is really happening? Can you experience silence? Can you really experience 100% to renunciate? Can you be in this moment that the air in the room almost stands still? That every pixel that you can see with your eyes completely turns into just consciousness. Our senses, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, influences us. Part of the awakening is to realize that these are natural parts of your being to preserve, to take care of your presence. But when we move beyond the sensory levels of hearing and touching and tasting and smelling, then we experience this presence, this consciousness. In this moment, can you be present? Can your mind be totally in the now? The ego tells us we have somewhere to go. We have something to do. We need to fix something. We need to complete something. We've got to take care of something. We're inadequate. The ego has all these many different layers that distract us, like noises. Imagine that you are in New York City. And imagine there are hundreds and thousands of sounds. And eventually you only learn to concentrate on one sound. The traffic disappears, the noise disappears. Everything around you disappears. And you just concentrate on the common connectiveness that we're all a part of, this universal intelligence. It's learning how to retrain what is really important, how to focus, how to become present. People want to meditate, and people tell me how difficult it is to meditate, because ultimately they want control. The ego wants control. The ego doesn't want you to sit in meditation. The ego doesn't want you to be silent. You have all your senses that engage you. People scratch, people drink water, people move, and they all call this meditation. And then we have all the visualization and all the distractions and all the disappointments and all the things we need to do and the things that we need to complete. So you can see that silence is not so easy, because we're tuning into the wrong thing. We're tuning into that voice within our head. We're listening to all the layers of our senses. And when we move beyond and we learn how to move beyond all this, there's a divine intelligence. There's a love that connects all of us, that allows all of us just to be without judging. We can just love. A long time ago, a great friend by the name of Caesar took me to a tree, and this tree was 300 years old. And he said to me, you know, this tree that knows it's nowhere to go. The only purpose of that tree is to grow roots into the ground. That tree is not pulling itself out of the ground and relocating itself. It doesn't need to focus on paying bills, driving a car. The tree is just a tree. The tree is just present. It is connected into the ground and is one with all the trees in the entire universe. Feel the silence of that tree. I remember giving him a very ego response because I didn't really understand at the time. I thought I did. The ego moves around us almost like a band. Every 7 seconds, it's like whoosh. Every 7 seconds, we're distracted. I need to do something. I need to complete something. I need to go somewhere. I'm not good enough. I'm inadequate. We make up another story. We make up another story. In my journey, the week in which I went through, when I imploded into the presence of myself, I just became nothing, and I became everything. But I was not a human being in a body. I was just consciousness. No beginning, no ending. And eventually, I felt the universe was no longer on the outside. I felt that the universe had stabilized itself within me. We live in this hologram that is external. All these chakras, the heart chakra, the navel chakra, the base chakra, all these chakras, particularly these lower chakras, they all have mirrors. And some of you are familiar with the beautiful poet Saint's story about the castle of mirrors. The heart, the heart chakra, the solar plexus, the navel chakra, the base chakra. These are chakras that have these reflective mirrors, if you wish, that reflect our pain, our disappointment, our anger, being cut off, not being seen, not being heard, not being loved, not being understood. If you only did this, if you only did that, if only... We have this constant, every day, we have a barrage of experiences that we are disappointed around. If he only called, if he only understood, if he only apologized, if he only said thank you, we build up so many stories. Anything not to be silent. As long as I need to make up a story that he didn't hear me, he didn't see me, he didn't call me, he didn't apologize. I was not loved, I was not heard, I was not seen. So, when all of these characteristics began to purify within me through the 7 days, and I began to realize that these chakras, the heart, the solar plexus, the navel chakra, the base chakra, I realized that all these chakras had turned themselves inwardly, almost like mirrors reflecting love. I didn't need to know if he apologized, if he understood, if he was going to explain. All the things that were very significant and important all disappeared. It evaporated. Sure, there are parts that I still agitate, but the majority of all the things that are so significant and we believe are part of our story, if my mother understood me, if my mother loved me, if only this, only that. See, the ego creates problems. The ego doesn't create solution. The ego's job is to create a problem and a disappointment that we can never solve throughout our entire lifetime, because the ego's job is to limit us and to stop us to becoming fully awakened. The world is no longer out there for me. The world is within me. All the universe and all the galaxies and all the stars are within me. Every plant and every tree and every star and every cloud is inside of me. There are times where I can feel the whole universe become as small and a kernel of sand, that we all just fit in that little kernel of sand. And other times I can feel the universe very unstable, and I need to learn to stabilize this consciousness within myself. As long as all the things out here distract us, as long as we are impatient, don't feel seen, not feeling loved. As long as we believe all the stories that the ego creates that will never be solved. Why doesn't she love me? Why did he do that? Why did he beat me? Why? You see, when the world is no longer out there, the world is within you. There is no why. Everything can be perfect and out of balance, because out of balance is not out of balance. I know that it sounds, everything eventually turns to dust. But we feel that if we can control and dominate and manipulate, that we are good, we're safe. We don't feel safe in here. We don't feel safe out there. No matter what happens, we're always divine in here. So now when I see a tree, I remember Caesar. I am that tree. I am that consciousness. I have nowhere to go. I have nothing to do. I have nothing to complete. I have no pain. There's nothing to do except love. So my retreat in Puerto Vallarta is about moving people beyond their ego identity and to experience silence. Even when you're sitting still, the ego is still whooping around you at every great speed. And eventually we learn how not to focus on the ego and the noises and the distractions. And we reposition ourselves that we are just love and we are the universe. I hope you download my brochure from the internet. Please make comments on these videos if you like them. And I send you a lot of silence. May the love in which you feel not come from here, but may the peace and love that you experience is from within. When I saw and united with my soul, my inner self, I fell to the ground. I was in awe of the magnitude of love that I really am. So you are this as well. I hope you have a beautiful week and a beautiful journey, no matter where you are and no matter what you do. I send you a lot of love.